Women in Britain with silicone breast implants made by a French company should not have them removed. That is the advice from MHRA. That's the UK's Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency. It is thought that up to 40,000 British women have the PIP implants. But the French authorities are considering their next step following concerns that there could be potential health risks. Our medical correspondent Fergus Walsh has the details.
This is one of the French silicone implants intact, and here what it looks like ruptured. The silicone was meant for industrial, not medical use. There was a demonstration in Paris yesterday. Campaigners there are claiming a link between the death from cancer of a French woman to the effects of a leaking implant. A French health committee will report in 2 days whether women there should be offered removal of implants as a precaution. There are around 40,000 British women who've had the implants. Some of them are reporting side effects.
Extreme pain, muscle pain, actually joint pain. It is actually painful in both my breasts as well.
The Medicines Safety Agency, the MHRA, says it's investigated the French implants. It looked at the potential toxicity of the silicone filler and found no evidence that it's substandard. There was no evidence of any association or link with cases of cancer, and no evidence that the implants could endanger breastfed infants.
Our advice would be very strongly to British women: don't panic. We have undertaken very extensive testing and discussion with our experts in this country. Some women will have questions, and we would say to them very strongly, go back and talk to your implanting surgeon.
This surgeon says he never used the French implants, and he had this advice for women.
I would suggest that in the new year they make an appointment to revisit their plastic surgeon. They need to be examined, they need to have any appropriate investigations, and then they need to discuss with their surgeon whether there is a reason for them to have a surgical procedure. They mustn't be hustled into doing something urgently.
Another surgeon recommended women have a twice-yearly scan, and implants should be removed only if they'd weakened or had ruptured. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
Well, watching that with me in the studio is Kevin Timms, who's from Garden House Solicitors. They're working on a group action for women with faulty implants in the UK. Kevin, good to have you with us. Thank you for coming in. What do you make of this, and how should people try to assess some of the risks involved? Because clearly, for some experts, there are risks.
Well, I think there's certainly conflicting views. I mean, I take the MHRA point. Certainly, they've done extensive testing. They found that there is no risk of cancer associated with the PIP implants and also internal body tissue. So that's not something that I think people should be concerned about. What I do think people should be concerned about is the actual problems with the inherent defects in the implants themselves. For example, the premature rupture, the phenomenon of perspiration of silicone through the implant shell without there being a tear or rip or rupture of it, and the fact that when the silicone does touch internal body tissue, it can cause inflammation, and there's certainly irritant behaviours associated with it.
We were saying earlier that there were some 40,000 women, there you have it on the screen there, in the UK thought to have this type of implant. So potentially, if there were problems, they could be quite extensive. Now, what are you picking up? What are women saying to you about their concerns?
Well, one of our concerns certainly is that we don't know exactly what's going on with these PIP breast implants in the UK. So what we've done is we set up a PIP breast implant register, and we hope as many people contact us and register their details with us so that we can actually get an idea of what the trends are associated with these implants. For example, percentage, how many people have had a rupture within 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, etc. So ideally what we want to do is find out the trends, and also the other issue is if anybody does want to make a claim, there's particular limitation dates which they need to adhere to, namely 6 years from the date of initial surgery or 3 years from the date they became aware of an injury as a result of the implant. We want to be able to protect those dates in the event that the the UK authorities won't actually pay for replacement implants.
What do you make of the fact, I mean, lots of comments on the website earlier, I saw them, were saying, well, you know, in France you have the authorities there saying we're considering the next step.
Yes.
We've seen these concerns, we are thinking about them, and you know, we'll take whatever steps we think are necessary. There is a contrast there with the official response here in the UK, which seems to be to say, actually we've assessed it and there's no major risk involved, we don't think. Now, is there an imbalance there? Is there a lack of a match there in terms of these messages?
Well, I think the defining factor is the extent of the testing that the UK authorities and the French authorities have carried out. The French authorities have carried out extensive testing as to why the implants fell prematurely, whereas the UK authorities were primarily concerned with whether or not they could cause cancer or any other toxic effects. So I think possibly the UK authorities could do a bit more to actually look into the French test results and find out if whether or not they actually agree with those test results and maybe carry out further tests themselves.
OK, Kevin, good to talk to you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you very much. Kevin Timms there, who's from Garden House Solicitors. Now, a timeline and a set of principles that provide a positive framework for negotiations on local government pension schemes are back on track.